stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. I'm actually early. I am 3 minutes early. I'm never early. I'm never early. What the hell's going on? It's like I'm managing my time correctly. Well, you know what? I forgot to get ice. Oh, I guess I'm gonna be a little late. I'll be back in a minute. Less than a minute, maybe. All right. Happy Friday. Happy frickin' sober Friday. I couldn't think of a word that goes with sober that started with an F. So there we go. Yeah, it seems that I'm going to have more competition on the scene. You know, it's kind of sad. If anybody listened to, and this part isn't sad, if anybody listened to the latest podcast with Bill, he's a great example of how we work together. There shouldn't be competition in what we do. Recovery doesn't have a competition. Why are sober livings and recovery coaches, and why do you have to put out why you're different or better than others? And that's not how recovery works. It's not. See, it takes a tribe to get somebody and keep somebody sober. And to think that I have all the answers for one particular person or everybody in this world is, well, not true. We'll go with not true. Right? I get a lot of people that bug me. They're like, yeah, you know, your channel is really good, but your SEO could do some work. And I like, you know, I'm thinking maybe it's time to give in and work on my SEO stuff with YouTube. Because no, I don't want hundreds of people here. It just wouldn't be the same anymore, would it? You know, it wouldn't be the same. But if it means that I can get them over to here and help them in the right direction rather than being manipulated by somebody else, then I'm kind of willing to do it. Hi, Michelle. Michelle says, oh my God, centering a new dimension. Now you have my full attention. It's just today's daily reflection. But as everybody knows, I dig deeper, right? It leads us to a book called AA Comes of Age. Entering a new dimension is today's topic. And what we're talking about, probably mostly, I don't know, I haven't really read it, so I'm not sure. But about entering the fourth dimension, being rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence. And what is that? Well, it's seeing things differently. A great book that would coincide with this would be, maybe I had to buy that book, Chuck C., New Pair of Glasses, which is AA approved, by the way. Some of the other stuff that people tend to bring up that Drop the Rock and The Last Drop. No, not The Last Drop is actually a publication by AA. So, but Drop the Rock is not AA approved literature. And if you want to find the AA approved literature, just go to Google and stuff. Okay. But, be careful what you grab. Before we get started, this comes to mind is a self-help book is only good for people that know how to help themselves. So if you're new in sobriety, a self-help book is not going to do you much good because you don't know how to help yourself yet. But once you have completed the program, have a couple of years under your belt, and you know how, then those books will start to work for you. Right? So today's daily reflection, I'm going to read the daily reflection so we can get into the book. So in the late stages of my drinking, the will to resist has fled. Yet when we admit complete defeat and when we become entirely ready to try AA's principles, our obsession leaves us and we enter a new dimension, freedom under God as we understand him, as Bill sees it, page 283. I am fortunate enough to be among the ones who have had this awesome transformation in my life. When I entered the doors of AA alone and desperate, I have been beaten into willingness to believe anything I heard. One of the things I heard was, this could be your last hangover, or you can keep going round and round. The man who said this obviously was a whole lot better off than I. I like the idea of admitting defeat, and I have been free ever since. My heart heard what my mind never could. Being powerless over alcohol is no big deal. I am free and grateful. It may not be any big deal, but step one is what I call the longest step, because however long your drinking career is, how long it took you to do step one. Step one is the only step that needs to be done with 100%. It is the only step that is 100%. But the admission, it is the first paradox in the program. The paradox that the way to true independence is total dependence on a higher power, on something better. And why? Because that higher power has much better morals and standards, ethics. But, a lot of people come in the program, and after a while, the fog kind of goes away, and gosh, you see that grass is green. You knew it was green before, but you couldn't see it like that. All right, you can start to see that even though that person over there may be upsetting you, that you can still see the beauty in what is going on with them. That's the new dimension. All right. And you'll know because the eyes shine. All right. So whenever you're watching any of those videos I would fuck what the person's saying. If they state that they're in recovery and they're trying to help other people out, I look at the eyes. It's the first thing I look. And if they're not shining, then they're full of shit. Then they're just a really good talker. Why? Because when God takes over, when we let God speak through us, our eyes shine. It is the spirit of the sunlight coming out of my eyeballs. Yeah. And mine are usually shining always. Almost always they shine. How do I know? Because I'm on camera and I can see myself. I don't see anything else. I just see me. All right. So I know. Okay. So in the last stages of our drinking, the will to resist has fled. Yet when we admit complete defeat and we become entirely ready, try AA's principles. I know this is a repeat. Our obsession leaves us and we enter a new dimension, freedom under God as we understand him. And that was from a letter in 1966. Right? It is the first freedom that I'm going to feel. Good morning, Claire, or good afternoon, Clara. Clara says, Dion, you shine, I shine, we shine together. Yeah. Shine. All right. Yeah. Grassroots meetings like that, everybody's eyes are shining. I've noticed a lot of neat things about that group. Number one, 90% of the people have their camera on. We don't even ask. They just feel comfortable there. People are fucking healing right in front of our eyes, man. The other cool thing is people are showing up and they're coming back. Speaking of somebody that's been gone for a minute, one of our friends, Leanne, she doesn't mind. I know. She's been helping people in Ukraine for the last month, and she's gonna be back tomorrow. And it'd be really good to see her. I miss her. I miss her a lot. She's become a dear friend of mine, and so it'd be good. It'd be good to see her again. And she's gonna chair. She's gonna chair. We got different people chairing. The meeting's been different, right? And all of this is it's a new dimension. It's different for us. But it feels really it feels so fucking good when you leave those meetings. We don't want the meeting to end, man. We want to stay in that comfort zone there, right? And it's a real easy meeting to share at too. So it's not often that we have to call on people. Sometimes we do. All right, let's get to the book. Let's get to the book. Enough bragging about grassroots. I'm just really proud of the group. Our group conscious yesterday, again, spectacular. We got a lot of shit done. No arguing. We figured things out. We got several things done. But the announcement I'd like to make is the last Saturday is now going to be a speaker meeting, except for tomorrow. It's going to start this next month, and Amber's going to do that. So if you're wanting to tell your story, I wouldn't mind grabbing people that are celebrating their sobriety that month. That's usually the best. But so we're going to start having speaker meetings. The first and third Thursday of each month, starting next week, is going to be a traditions meeting. There's been a lot of resistance to traditions. So we figured out a way, we figured out a format that'll help everybody kind of stay involved. Anyway, all right, so we're on page 52 in AA Comes of Age. But the part that we're getting to isn't really, it's a little ways down. So please be patient. Right? The hiccups. Fuck. Going live, having the hiccups. I think that was it. Hi, Amber. Yes, I am still live. I'm still live. It's funny because now we're at 13 minutes. When I first started these, they were 10 to 15 minutes. Now I get started about the 10-minute mark, it seems. Clarissa, I was unable to make it. There going to be a reversion posted. Yeah, I don't see why not. We'll see what we can. We'll see if we can put something together. That's a good idea. So, also, if you want to show up a little bit earlier today, Claire, I'm happy to cover what we went over. I'd be happy to do that. So, it is traditional in Alcoholics Anonymous that we do not make speeches. We just talk about our own experience and about the experience of those around us. My talk will be no exception. About the middle of the summer of 1934, I lay in Charles B. Towns Hospital at Central Park West. I'd been there before. I had met dear old Dr. Silkworth. He had thought at one time that I might recover, but I had gone steadily downhill, and now I lay upstairs in the hospital, knowing for the first time that I was utterly hopeless. Michelle says that she'll put notes in the WhatsApp. So awesome. Thank you, Clara. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Well, I got a ding, and I don't get a ding unless somebody's trying to join or something. Okay. Not sure what the ding was about. Because I take my notifications off. Otherwise, my shit would be dinging all the darn time. All right, and that would drive me nuts. Lois was downstairs, and this kind old doctor was trying in his gentle way to tell her the bad news that so many wives and husbands have received. Be glad you're not the doctor. Be glad you're not the doctor, man, given that bad news. I've had to talk to people in that sense, and it's never fucking easy, man. It's not easy. He was trying to tell her what was wrong with me and that I was hopeless. And Lois was exclaiming, but Bill has a tremendous amount of willpower. You never saw such an obstinate man when he sets his heart on something. Ding, fries are done. Great, you're having fries. That's what it was. Ding, you are now free to move about the country. You never saw such an. He has desperately tried to get well. We have tried everything. Doctor, why can't he stop? The gentle little man explained that my drinking, once a habit, had become an obsession. I'll never really fully understand this, how it turns into that obsession. I don't know. I really don't, but I do know that it's true. And even harder to explain to somebody who's never been through it. Because to Lois, there's nothing wrong with Bill. To my wife, there was nothing wrong with me. I have tremendous willpower. I'm obstinate too. I'm hard-headed. I am. It's a hard one to work with, man. And I have tremendous willpower too. So do you, except when it comes to alcohol. Then I have none. I need a power greater than myself to replace that willpower that I do not have. And it's not even really the alcohol. It is the alcohol. As much as it is the feeling that I get. Because see, alcohol, when you drink it, it goes to the happy place. And that's what we're going after. It helps me forget all my troubles and woes. But the thing is it made me forget so much that I did not work with them. I did not try and solve my problems. I just tried to throw more insanity and madness at it. That's the difference. Right? Like, even my wife knows. She's like, well, man, she didn't like to drink like I drank. And in the beginning, she would drink with me, but not like I drank. And even after a while, she's like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. She was just doing everything to be a part of my life, and I don't blame her. We fell in love back in 1987. Yeah, first time I laid eyes on her, I knew she was mine. I don't know what it was. I just knew. Anyway, all right, let's go. Not mine, but you know what I mean, right? The gentle little man explained that my drinking, once a habit, had become an obsession, a true insanity that condemned me to drink against my will. And she said, Doctor, what can we do? So I had to tell her that I would have to be locked up or go mad or die. Just earlier, I was in a meeting, and somebody was talking about somebody they were trying to help. And I don't know why, but they were over there going, I don't understand why he won't quit. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. And I know what the problem is. That person thinks they can get other people sober. I can help create willingness. That I can do through my experience, strength, and hope. I can be depth and weight, but I can't make them make the decision to get sober. And I can't sober them up, but I can show them the steps that I took to get there. Right? But I'm not God. I cannot. It is not within my power to relieve the obsession of alcohol from you. It's not within my power. There's no human power. Yeah. Upstairs, I knew the story. It was a long end of a road. For the benefit of our friends who may not know yet how alcoholics get that way, let me go back to the time when I was a child, the time when I acquired some of the traits that I had a lot to do with my insatiable craving for alcohol. I was brought up in a little Yankee town, about 50 houses, East Dorset, Vermont. I was born under the shadow of a mountain there called Mount Aeolus. Aeolus. And I'm probably messing up the name. An early recollection of one of looking up and seeing that vast, mysterious mountain and wondering what it was and whether I would ever climb that high. But I was presently distracted by my aunt, who, as a fourth birthday present, made me a plate of fudge. For the next 35 years, I pursued the fudge of life and quite forgot about the mountains. Well, I understand that. I get it. That first perfect moment of drinking is what he's talking about. It's the fudge, man. I like fudge too. My stomach is showing it. I really got to lose weight. Okay. All right. When I was 10, I went to live with my grandfather and grandmother. They were wonderful old-fashioned Yankees, a breed nearly extinct today. I was tall and gawky, and I felt pretty bad about it because the smaller kids could push me around in quarrels. I remember being very depressed for a year or more, and then I began to develop a fierce resolve to win. I resolved to be a number one man. I actually understand this resolve. I went through the same thing. I wasn't tall and gawky, but I did get pushed around a lot. And it made me figure some things out, man. I know it sounds mean, but at the same time, it also made me a little bit stronger and figured out where my place was. But I remember that resolve to win. Not necessarily winning at the game of life, but mine was revenge. I did a lot of stuff for revenge. Things that they didn't know about. That's why I'm really good at doing things for other people and they don't know about it, because I used to do things against other people and them not knowing about it. Mm-hmm. Yep. Paranoia is a wonderful tool to manipulate people. I don't use that anymore. All right. My grandfather came along one day with a book and he said, this is all about Australia. It says that nobody but Australia Bushmen knows how to make and throw the boomerang. Oh, I remember this one. Oh, I thought to myself, here's my chance. I will be the first man in America to make and throw a boomerang. Really? Like he was the first. I'm sure there were a few Australians living in America by this time that knew how to throw a boomerang, right? But here it is, right? You know, and what is he doing? He's trying to set himself apart. He's trying to be terminally unique at the age of 10? He's already trying to be terminally unique, right? Well, any kid could have a notion like that. It might have lasted 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks, but mine was a power driver that kept on for 6 months. I did nothing else during all that time but whittle on those infernal boomerangs. I sawed the headboard out of my bed to get just the right piece of wood. And out in the old workshop at night by the light of a lantern, I whittled away. And finally, sure enough, I made a boomerang that swung around the churchyard in the front of the house and almost hit my grandfather in the head when it came back. See, he did it. He's talking about the willpower. Look at all that effort he put into that, right? And the thing is that's where it gets confusing. Is I have all this willpower with all these other things, but when it came to alcohol, my resolve was not there. It was literally missing. I couldn't reach out for it. I couldn't grab it. That's why it's so weird. Emotionally, I had begun the fashioning of another sort of boomerang, one that almost killed me later on. In that early period, I had to be an athlete because I was not an athlete. Yeah. I had to be a musician because I could not carry a tune. I had to be the president of my class in the boarding school. I had to be the first in everything because in my perverse heart, I felt myself the least of God's creatures. I'm wondering what happened to Bill's parents. Let's find out. What happened to Bill W.'s parents? Wilson's father left for Canada in 1905, and his mother left soon after to study osteopathic medicine. Abandoned by his parents, he and his sister were raised by their maternal grandparents. So his parents abandoned him. Wow, him and his sister. I didn't know he had a sister. I didn't know that Bill was raised by his grandparents. Sounds like one of those parents is, I don't know, alcoholic. Oh, money. I put money on it. All right. I had to be the first in everything because in my perverse heart, I felt the least of God, myself, the least of God's creatures. I could not accept the deep sense of inferiority. And so I did become captain of the baseball team. I did learn to play the fiddle well enough to lead the high school orchestra, even though it was terribly bad band. I was the leader, and lead I must, or else. So it went. All or nothing, I must be number one. Woo! I didn't go quite to this. Right. I didn't quite go to this extreme. Well, I did, just in a different way. Right? Because when I was 13, people were like, you're alcoholic. You're alcoholic. I'm like, I'm not even legal age to fucking drive. And you're calling me alcoholic. They weren't wrong. So I became the best alcoholic that I could be. I'm like, if you're going to call me that name, then I'm going to fucking show it to you. Wrong challenge. Then scene changed. In boarding school, I was very successful. I felt secure with grandfather's liberal allowance and with the love and respect of my schoolmates. Amber says, damn, Bill had it rough. Yeah, he did. He did have it rough. Now we have a little bit more empathy for the dude, huh? But I can still see some of his obstinance in some of his writings. I'll just tell you that. I see it. He thought very highly of himself, but I think he figured that out. I was somebody substantial and real and life lacked only one ingredient, romance. Then came the minister's daughter, and in spite of my awkward adolescence, things were complete. I had romance, security, and applause. I was ecstatically happy. He thought he had made it, man. And I get that. I get this. I understand this, right? All right. Then one morning, the school principal appeared with a sad face and announced that my girl had died suddenly the night before. His first girlfriend died. Oh, shit. I dropped into depression that lasted for 3 solid years. See how his depression started even before the drinking came. Even before it came. He talks a lot about his deep depressions and stuff. I did not graduate from school. I was unable to finish because I could not accept the loss of any part of what I thought belonged to me. The healthy kid would have felt badly, but he never would have sunk so deep or stayed submerged for so long. Wow. Poor guy. I'm just feeling bad for Bill now. But look what he was able to do with all of it at the end, right? And then that's the new dimension that we can change, that we can become different and better people. You know, even the people that I call the recovery bullies, in my heart, what I wish is that they find God and change. That's what I really want. Because if they did that, oh fuck, they'd help hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. They would. Yeah. And it's sad to see. It is sad to see that talent being wasted. That's one of my frustrations. Right. But just like the lady earlier, when I was saying that they don't understand why they can't get them sober, here we are. Sure, that's what I want. Is that what's going to happen? I don't know. I'm not God and I can't predict the future. But I do hope that they just change a few things. All right. Okay. Anyway, we're getting a little off. So then along came Lois. And suddenly I was alive again and going concern once more. I'll tell you a little story. I worked for this place called EPS, Electronic Payment Systems, and I was running the agent relations, right? So I was really good at. I met a girl. She lived in Kansas City, but I had a girlfriend at the time, right? And what happened is I fell in love with this girl. She fell in love with my voice, I tell you. Right? And I was smitten. She was gorgeous, she was successful, and she loved Dion. Right? So I got in a big check. And what I did is I just up and left my girlfriend. No reason, no nothing. And this girl and I had been talking for a few weeks. And what I was going to do is I was moving out. I was going to work for another month and I was going to move out to Kansas City, be with her. All right. Well, I went and got a hotel room for the week. And I wasn't there the first night when the police knocked on my door, because what they did is they went through all the names, which I don't think is totally legal. Ran my name. I had a warrant. And Claire, we're in the book called AA Comes of Age. I'm on page 54, if you have it. And I went to jail. And I would actually spend the next 4 months in jail. One was a case for I had a bowl of weed in my car. And even to this day, yes, I'm rolling my eyes because, dear Lord, come on. All right. But I didn't go to court, FTA. That's going to put you. The other one was a civil case. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had a court case, things like that. But I went and they gave me 6 months. They're like, okay, you're going to be in jail for 6 months. And yes, they do that because you don't pay your child support. And it wasn't that I didn't pay my child support. It was another failure to appear. And so I went to court and they're like, why didn't you show up to court? You waste my time. I said, because I was working so I could pay my child support. And I thought that was more important. And the judge didn't like that answer. So they gave me 6 months. So 3 months work release. And this was pure fucking hell for me. Being locked up against my will because of stupid child support, blah, blah, blah. I get where they're coming from now. Taking away my passport, I understand. Because if you have enough money to go to, Cancun, you got enough money to pay your damn child support. So I understand that. But taking my driver's license, taking my freedom, a lot of people don't agree with that. But anyway. And then I found out that most caseworkers that work at FSR are owed money through child support as a conflict of interest. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're talking about this story, right? And so finally, I got out. And every day we talked and da-da-da-da-da. And we were so in love. And I'd seen her once. We met once before there was a Christmas party. And my boss came to me and said, hey, I know that you're planning on meeting your girlfriend here on Saturday, so I'm not going to allow you to work. Fucking bitch. Right? Well, I was a Boy Scout of work release, so they didn't really check on me. So I went anyway. So I got out and I was sick. I was also reeling from being in jail because that was really hard for me. It lasted about 2 weeks and she broke up with me and I was heartbroken. Oh my God. I can't remember another time when I was more heartbroken. Right? And I would stay heartbroken until another girl came along. That's what I was trying to get to. Just like Bill here. Right. Now she didn't die or anything, but I understand how he didn't feel better about himself until another pretty girl came along. I understand that. We married during World War. Oh, and I'm halfway down the page on 54. What time is it? Okay. I'm going to start to wrap this up here shortly. Well, 3 p.m. is not that far away, but I got a few other things to do. So, when I was a young officer at New Bedford, there we were projected among the society's folk of the town. For the first time in my life, I saw a butler. Again came that terrible feeling of inadequacy because he didn't have a butler, right? That shy inability to speak more than 2 or 3 words in a row. It was overwhelming. But one night, someone handed me a Bronx cocktail. There it is. This is where it's going to start. Liquor had killed off a lot of my relatives, so he was familiar with alcoholism. And I had been repeatedly warned against it, probably by his parents, probably by his grandparents, actually. Still, I took this first drink, and then another, and another. Ah, what magic. I found the elixir of life. Down went the strange barrier that had always stood between me and the people around me. My new companions drew near to me, and I drew near to them. I was part of life at last. I could talk easily. I could communicate. Here was the missing link. Isn't it weird that most alcoholics are introverted, but we become extroverted because of the alcohol? Now, I know it doesn't seem like it, but I am an extrovert, but I was not always. I had to work on that a lot. I was extremely shy. I was very shy, but I knew that I wasn't going to get very far in this world if I continued keeping it all inward. And that alcohol allowed me to bring down that barrier and talk the way that I really wanted to talk. So in a sense, alcohol made me extroverted. And now I'm an extrovert. There are still parts of me that are still introverted, though. There are some things that I will only talk to my wife about. Yep, that is it. So, but I can understand that. So, what does it mean that we put down the alcohol and we start to enter this new dimension, right? And we call it the fourth dimension, being rocketed into the fourth dimension. It's just a new concept of life. And I'm unfortunately I'm probably going to still use the same examples that I've been using, right? In the fact that I can see the forest for the trees now, right? I'm going to use that, and I know it sounds weird, and it might sound like it's off topic. Narcissism. Are there narcissistic people out there? Yes, there are, and I really want you to open your mind up to this. Okay. Narcissism is like alcoholism. They can't help themselves. They don't know any better. They are naive, highly intelligent with little empathy. Sounds a lot like alcoholism. And I can't stand that people come on and start to call people especially when they are a therapist. They're like, how to handle a narcissist. Okay, it is a legitimate mental illness, my friends, that they can't help. Does that sound like somebody you know? Like yourself with alcohol? Yeah. Even these people can change. Yes, they can. Given the right treatment. Of course, they're going to have to be aware of it. And what's going to be there? Well, it's going to be denial, right? Right. Michelle says, I get it. I was shy too. Then boom, I couldn't shut up. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you everything in my life. There's nothing better than sitting on the back porch, listening to good music and yakking all fucking night. I can't think of, and honestly, even to this day, I can't think of anything better than that. So thank God for a new perception, for a new dimension. Right? Right now I'm digging a fire pit in the backyard, and my plan is to start to have fireside chats. See? It still sounds cool, but I no longer require the alcohol. I no longer need the alcohol. It's been replaced by something bigger and better, God. Okay? Well, alcohol was my God for a long time. So I just switched to higher powers is what I did, in a sense. But I like to invite people over and and sit by the fire and we talk. My wife wanted one. I've done a couple things for her lately. Like she wanted some stuff moved around and set up a certain way. It was just neat because she came up to me. She's like, "You actually listen to me now, and I love you." And I'm like, I know. I'm an ass kicker. I know. I love her, man. I want her to have what I'm willing to, make some changes and do that. That's a new dimension. Instead of, I'd say probably the biggest change that we make is going from destroying our communities to becoming a working member of society again. It is the black sheep that makes changes. It is we who understand that change needs to be made. All right. Once we get it. So, all right. Well, I was hoping that while I was talking, it was going to turn 2:22, but by the time I end, it probably will be 2:22. Maybe. We will see. Yes, I'm putting it off. All right. All right, let's wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I do. I love you. Again, I do. Peace out. I'm really putting this off. All right. And have a day. That's 2:22. We did it. Love you.